Hey everyone, welcome back to Citywide Bytes. I'm your host, Max Bowen. What if you could lead an entirely different life, changing the choices that you once made? Would you be willing to leave your old life behind? That's the premise of C.B. Geisinger's new book, The Wall That Divides the Ocean. In this episode, we talk about the inspiration behind the book, the new life that her main character Anna finds herself in, and the choice that she must make. All right. Well, CB, first off, it is great to have you back on the show. It's been a little while. The last time was at the Rhode Island Author Expo last December, which
Yep.
feels like a lot more than like 10 months.
Yeah, no, it's been a busy time, so I feel like it's flown.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, you have your recently released book, The Wall That Divides the Ocean. Uh, Tell us what this one is all about.
I wrote this book about 8 years ago, and I only finished about 75% of it. So last year, I was trying to decide what I wanted to write, something new or pick at something that I already started, and it was already late in the year. And I try to come out with a new book every February. So at September, I said, well, I might as well go with something that I already have mostly done, and then realize that I didn't have it done at all because there was so much stuff missing. Like I had like the main points, but then there was no like it needed a lot to make it the book that it became, and I needed a really great editor. And so I finished the book, and I ended up inquiring if my friend who was an English major and an editor previously could edit it, and she took this story about a woman that was in a car accident. She's in a safe marriage, I'll call it that. This guy and her have been together for like 10 years. They're complacent. They both have steady jobs. They come home, they have dinner together. I mean, it sounds just like a 20-year marriage where like you're happy, but there's nothing passionate about it anymore. And he is a very white person. And I don't mean that racially. I mean, he has all white furniture, white rugs. There's no kids. There's no dog. It's everything needs to be in order. And at night, they read. Like it's very simple, but he's a good person. And so she kind of just moves through it. But she has this dream about um what her life, I guess, could have been. And then um she ends up in a car accident. But when she wakes up, she's in the middle of this other life. So you know when you are like dreaming and you feel like, oh, I know I'm in a dream because that doesn't seem right. This isn't what it should be. Well, she feels like this is natural. And I think that's like an inner thing that we all feel like, oh, if I could change one thing, if I could go back, maybe the grass is greener on the other side. But this person, while they're great, this person is the passionate side, and she's in Scotland. And there's not just romance in her relationship, there's romance in the scenery, there's romance in the relationships she has with the people around her. And it's like, would you rather do something that's easy and simple, or something that's hard and rough, which life really is? Like, is it worth it to do something that's more difficult if you get the reward in the end? And that's kind of like what I was writing about. It's like, if you had a chance to redo things, would you redo them so things wouldn't be so simple, but they would be adventurous, they would be beautiful, they would have that risk taking? So I ended up finishing the book, and my editor made it phenomenal. And then my amazing graphic artist actually took the pictures that I took myself when I was in Scotland, and where I wrote 5 out of the 8 books that I've written so far, down at Narragansett Beach. I actually have my my bookmark that she made me.
I
So
love that.
this is Narragansett, and then this
Yep.
is the Isle of Skye. And I took the pictures, and she made it look like it was a drawn picture. She's phenomenal. Um, so yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's everybody that's read it, they read it in 2 days.
I'll bet. I'll
You
bet
just
they
you
do.
just want to be in Scotland. You
Yeah.
just want to experience all of it, and
Yep. Hmm.
um, but yeah,
So where did the idea for this come from? Because I love the concept.
um, I don't know. I went to Disney about 8 years ago, and I told my friend I feel like I should write a book. And I had spent all this time down in Narragansett writing books, and I never published any of them at this point. This was just like an idea that I had to just write books. It got me through therapeutically because I was going through a lot with thoracic outlet syndrome, and so it was kind of like my way out because I couldn't go anywhere. So I just wrote myself out there. And originally, this was supposed to be set in England because England is like my favorite place. And, but I decided I write everything in England. So I should do something else. And then Outlander came out, and we were going to Scotland that year. So I was like, well, maybe I should write it in Scotland. And then I started writing it. I said, am I writing Outlander right now? Where she has that relationship and then she goes into Scotland with somebody that's more adventurous. But I was like, but no, that's not what it is. She's not going through stones. She's going through her mind. And it's funny because my editor's like, everything's moving really fast. And I said, well, think about a dream. They say you have how many dreams in a night? And what seems like a 3 hour dream is 5 minutes.
Mhm.
So while she's in a coma, for however many years that is, she could be going through decades because her mind is processing things at such a rapid rate that time is not measured the same way. And I've talked about this with my husband before, and I said, it makes you wonder if our subconscious, when we fall asleep, maybe our brain is actually connecting to something else, because they say that when you travel outside of Earth, outside of this galaxy, things, the time changes. So maybe it's like our way of connecting to other things where things can slow down or speed up, and maybe that's life and death too. So maybe she's actually dead. Maybe she's not in a coma. Maybe we don't know that. Maybe you just gotta read
Ooh,
the
I
book.
love
Oh,
I love like the mystery here. I love that. Let's talk about Scotland as a setting because I know that that you are an avid traveler.
yeah.
Um, what about Scotland made you think, "Yep, this is it. This is where the book's got to take place"?
Well, I we actually went to Scotland that year. That I wrote this book originally, and that's why we watched Outlander, because we wanted to see what it looked like there because we've never been, and then we really liked. So obviously we have a house. I'm in New Hampshire right now. My husband loves mountains. We absolutely love nature, landscaping. I just had a hummingbird fly by my window because I put hummingbird feeder out. So we really like nature, and Scotland is just raw beauty. It's not a lot of industry. There's two major cities. Edinburgh is very old. It's very gothic, and I love that about it. It's just no apologies, dark and eerie, Burke hair. Like I don't know if you've heard anything about the Burke hair, the body snatchers. A lot of great literature about them. They would they
Mm.
would dig up graves of newly buried graves, and they would sell the bodies to the universities so the doctors could study them.
Whoa.
And but they would make a business out of it. But it was the only way, and it sounds silly, but like it's the only way the doctors were able to study the human form, because they thought it was grotesque or immoral to cut open a body when the person died, because people
Oh,
didn't donate the body to science back
sure,
then. So that was the
sure.
only way for doctors to learn about anatomy, and if you had a disease, like what happened with the body. So the only people they were allowed to work on were the people who were executed, because no one cared about them,
Fair enough.
you
Fair
know.
enough.
But yeah, Scotland was just like alluring.
Sure.
They had a lot of folklore. It was very magical in its sense of fairies and whimsical tales of uh, clans fighting each other and marriages that weren't supposed to take place. And it's just a mystical place. And we got there, and I said, "Yep." And of course, we went back there last year with our kids. So it was a really great experience, and I'm glad that I said it there instead of England, because What Comes of Ashes already had England in it. So
Yeah.
I needed to spread it out. Maybe the next
Yeah.
one will be in a different country.
That will be a great theme for your books, like new book, new country every single time.
Yeah, I started writing when it was in Switzerland. I'm not sure if I'll finish that this year or not, though.
Oh, okay. I think you should personally. I would absolutely love that. But but obviously it's your work. Um, I want to ask a bit about this coma world that our main character Anna finds herself
Hmm.
in. What is she experiencing? I mean, is it this like crazy random shifting dream, or is it very like stable, like, yes, this is real life, nothing suspicious here?
Yeah, she doesn't know she's dreaming.
Oh wow. So she just
So
wakes up,
she
it's like,
just
oh,
wakes up and her husband brings in breakfast and she's pregnant. Like
oh.
it's just like the middle of life. It's just like you waking up this morning and you're like, oh, this is life. Like, she has no idea. So she goes through this whole life with him, not realizing that her actual husband is on the other side grieving her and wondering if she's ever going to wake up and feeling the guilt of I'm here and she's in a coma, and
Yeah.
and how am I going to live without her? Is she going to survive? And so like you're getting like, oh, it's so magical and romantic, and then like, oh, sorry buddy, you know.
Yeah. As you're like spending like all your time in the hospital over your like comatose wife who may or may not wake up. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, magic in Scotland. Oh, oh dear. Okay, well,
Yeah.
moving on.
So sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he kind of finds himself like in a situation where like what would you do if your wife, it's now been 7 months, she's still not awake?
Oh wow,
You
yeah. That's
know,
when you
like,
wonder.
is she ever going to wake up? Am I going to be by her bedside for the next 20 years paying
Yeah,
for hospital bills? Like,
exactly. Like a certain
but
point.
you can't just pull the plug because the doctors say that she's functioning. Like her brain has reduced in swelling, but
Yeah.
she's just not waking up. And so he kind of like decides to go and live his life, you know? But it's not like, I don't know. I don't want to give away too much, but
No.
it's a complex situation. It's a lot of gray area, and I feel like that's what I really wanted to write about, because it's not just a good life or a bad life. There's mess in the middle. So he's a perfect guy. He's all about everything being neat and clean, and this is completely disrupting who he is. You know, and
Oh, I was
now he's a
wondering.
mess, and now he is trying to figure out who he is without her, and she's figuring out who she could have been. And it's just an interesting way to like re-examine yourself and be like, if I wasn't this person, who would I have been? Like, if you didn't become a podcaster like 10 years ago, who would you have been? Would you have been
Uh
happier?
Honestly, probably not actually. Doing this makes me very, very happy.
Well, there you go. But
Yeah,
you could have gone a different route. We all have
exactly.
these forks, but we don't know what the fork is until we've already passed it,
Yeah.
you know?
And speaking of Anna's fork, this is a real fork. This is a person in her in her coma dream that she knew in real life years
Right.
back. She knew them. She didn't pursue the relationship. So tell me about this guy that she is now, now like married to, and now, is going to have a kid with.
Yeah, he's an American, but he went to Oxford and he studied physics, and they offered him this big grand job, but he's a humble person, so he took a teaching job instead because he would rather educate rather than self-proclaim him, yeah. So he really wanted to just be around um his family that he made out there. He made friends with a big family that's out there, runs a distillery, and um So he wanted to keep that, and his parents retired, they move out to Edinburgh, and he has this system, whereas like in a real life, Anna has no relationship with her family. Her sister lives in another state, her parents are too big, with their golf buddies, and he has no family, so it's just kind of isolating. No kids, no dogs, no family. And now in Scotland, he in real life had all of this big family, big mess. Everyone's all over you, everyone's loud, but everybody's caring and everybody's there for you. And it's like big fat Greek wedding. I kind of reference
Yeah.
them a little bit too, because like that she comes from this big loud Greek family and he comes from this very reserved family, like
Ooh.
no loud noises. um but it's natural to her to just
Hmm.
slide right back into it, and he's just this kind, compassionate, very passionate person. And they're very, even like 10 years in, they're like passionately in love with each other,
Oh,
you
that's a
know.
great story. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, so like you're like, oh, that's really sweet of them, but like, is she cheating? Like,
It's a
is she
coma, so
doing
I'm
a
gonna say
dream?
no.
But if
Yeah.
she doesn't know she's dreaming, is it cheating?
But does she know she's dreaming? Does she ever realize, hey, wait a minute, I've got this other life with this guy and I gotta come back to it at some point?
Yeah, but if you realize that, do you want to go back?
And
Would you
that's where we
rather stay
find,
in the dream forever? Would you rather
yeah.
go back and face the music?
And that's where we find our main conflict in the
Yeah,
story is that she at some point has a choice to make. And that's all I'm gonna say about it, folks. You want to
yeah.
read the book to find out what happens, but how does she, I feel like this is safe. How does she come to realize, hey, wait a minute, this isn't my actual life?
Well, trying not to give things away.
Exactly. No spoilers,
So
guys.
the name of the story is The Wall That Divides the Ocean. And so when in her dream life, there's a wall in her living room. And she describes this towards the beginning of the book. And she says she walks in and she sees pictures of his family. She sees pictures of her family. And then she sees pictures of them together, and it's their life together, and it's the wall that's dividing the ocean. It's not just an ocean, one's in his Scottish family, her American family. It's the wall that's dividing her reality and her choice of life. And um it's the wall that's holding up her resistance to things, because she put up a wall the second she decided not to return to Scotland. She put it up and said, I'm focusing on my career, I'm focusing on this. And then she got everything she wanted, and it wasn't what she wanted at all, you know.
Okay. You talked about the title, the wall that divides the oceans. We're talking 6 words here to sum up a like 300-page book, basically. How'd you do it? Where the idea for the title come from?
I don't know, I just come up with titles and I write
Yeah,
books.
there we go. That's a great answer. I love that answer. That's perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
It's like just comes to me. I write the book. The end.
Yeah, I'll be walking around, I'll be taking a shower, and I'll be like, huh, that's a good title.
Yeah, that works.
You
I
know,
like that.
I watched Shakespeare in Love when it first came
Oh
out,
yeah.
and he's sitting there at the bar and he's talking to Christopher Marlowe, and he says, Romeo and Ethel, a pirate's daughter. And Marlowe's like, ugh. And he's like, oh, I wrote this other book. And he tells him, and he's like, ooh, good title. And I was like, oh, that's how I feel every time I come out with a title. And I was like, ooh, good title. I'm like, gonna have to write a book now. Because like if you have a good title, it's what draws you in. I go through Goodreads and I've read 113 books this year. And if I see a title and I'm like, ugh,
Yeah,
no,
I
if
hear
it's
that.
a good title, I'll give it a shot. I don't care what it's about.
I hear that because I'm the same way. Like for me, it's the title and the cover. If
Yes.
neither are really good, or one's not so good, like I saw this book the other day. It sounded like a cool story. I liked the title, but the cover was just bleh. I
Yeah.
thought, nah, I'm not gonna read this one. Sorry. The covers turned me off completely. And you've nailed it though. You nailed it with a great title and a great cover. Um, but when it came to choosing what in Scotland to use, was that like a process for you?
No, no. I
I love
mean,
it.
my
I love it.
favorite place is Isle of Skye.
Yep.
I mean, I
Yep.
named my dog Isle of Skye. So when we go there, I love being out there, and I described it in the book because she's kind of going over a lot of stuff in her head while she's trying to figure things out, and she's walking along the road that's beneath the Old Manor store, which is
Hmm.
this beautiful toothy kind of um cut stone that it's actually pushed out from the ground. It almost looks like it's cut from the mountains, but it actually was pushed out because it's an island, so it was volcanic. And it's just beautiful. It's this guy right here.
Hmm.
And
Ooh.
she just kind of describes it as like these looming towers,
Yeah.
and they're lording over her. And my daughter and I finally climbed it last year, and it was so beautiful to be up on top and look down on all of the lakes. There's just sheep everywhere. There's no people. The smell of the air smells like rainwater, but the water is like the cleanest water you can just drink it right from the fairy pools. And it's freezing cold, but it's because it's all mountain water. But it's so natural. You smell. I take so like when I go to places, I always grab wildflowers
Hmm.
or shrubs and things like that, and I go home and I press them in between glass and I hang them all over my house. So I have glasses all over my walls from different countries, and it's like their flora. But heather and thistle flowers, which have so many prickles on them, but I grabbed it with my coat and I shoved it in my pocket, and I almost put that on the cover, but I thought it was too Braveheart because with Braveheart, she
Yeah.
thistle and
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, so I didn't want it to do that. But I thought that the Old Man store was like this prominent, this thing that's kind of like weighing in the back of her mind, because while she doesn't know that she's in a dream, like there's always something kind of like looming over her. When her husband's by her bedside and he's talking to her, she hears kind of like, Anna, Anna, and she's like, did you hear that? And he's like, no. But so it's like
Ooh.
looming in the back of her mind. It's almost like when we get deja vu.
Yep. Yep.
And now, like every time you have deja vu, be like, am I dreaming? Is this Inception? Do I have something I can check?
Am I in the Matrix? Is that
Am
what's
I in
happening
the
now?
Matrix? Is this real right now? I don't know. But yeah, so she kind of has that. But like Isla Sky is just like this beautiful place that she fell in love with. And I mean, she loves Narragansett too, obviously, but she doesn't have that. I don't know. I don't know how to describe
I
it
get
further
you.
than that.
Nah, I get you. I get you. Well, folks, we have been talking all about this book, and now we're going to give you a little taste of what is in the pages because the author is going to read something from for you from around the beginning. So, CB, the floor is yours. Take it away.
All right. So this is from the first chapter, and she was just sleeping when the car rocked her awake and out of that dream about this man from Scotland. April is indeed a beautiful time of year to visit the mountains. The snow is all but melted and the flowers are starting to blossom. It will be a pleasant change from the ocean scenery we're used to. Chris grabbed her hand on the seat and squeezed it gently. She looked from his hand to his face. A warm expression smoothed his skin, and he appeared ageless. He was 5 years her senior, but he could have been more than 10 years older than her based on his temperament. Although he had no dream of being a dad, he sometimes behaved like he was one to her. It will be a nice getaway. She pulled her eyes back to the book resting on her lap. What are you reading? Chris averted his eyes from the road just a moment to peek at the reading material. A novel I got from the woman at the office. She said I may like it. What's the premise? Just some sort of old fashioned love story, the kind you don't need to focus on the details because it's idly simple. Ah, chick book. Chris pursed his lips into a smile, the kind of smile that ensured that he was joking, but would provoke a similar facial reaction from his wife, whom he loved immensely. Yeah, but sometimes after a week of patience that make me want to rip my hair out, a mind numbing book is the kind of thing I need to cleanse it all away. She exhaled sluggishly. I get where you're coming from. This semester's roster of students have been purely hectic, and there are always large gatherings around my door after the conclusion of every class, as though I haven't spent 3 hours teaching them, he laughed. Sometimes I just want to jump out the window and leave them outside the door banging on it. He once again laughed at his humor. I should have picked up a Nicholas Sparks book while we were out of town. Anna returned the humorous suggestion with a short chortle. Yeah, I bet they're all girls banging at your door. After all, my husband is such a stunning man for a 38-year-old. 37, Chris injected. Sorry, 37, Anna replied slowly, sarcastically prompting Chris to laugh. At that moment, Anna laughed, but thought about her dream, the indescribable vision that she had only minutes before. His face, running through her mind, made her squirm in her seat, so much that she feared Chris might think something was wrong. She readjusted herself, and before she could return her eyes to the book, a large image came in like a speeding train into the corner of her vision. Crash. An oversized truck came from the right side of the car, running a stop sign, and smashed into the vehicle with ferocity against Anna's passenger door. Glass pelted her cheek as her head slammed repeatedly against the window as the door and the car rolled. Crunch, thump, crunch, thump. The sound repeated as the vehicle tumbled into the ditch and off the shoulder of the quiet road. The thrash of metal was the last thing she heard, and then echoes turned into the darkness as hot blood ran down her face. Darkness turned to light, then back to darkness, as Anna's consciousness came in and out of focus. Her ears felt like she was underwater, that sound distorted, the light pulling and pushing her. While she could sense she was injured, she could not register where she was or what had happened. Chris was by her side. She smelled him. His voice a distant echo. He sounded so far away, but she knew he was nearby. Chris watched her for a moment, a slight flicker, and then an erratic fluttering in her eyes. Anna! She heard a sound, a long string of repeating wishes. Hello? Please, there's been an accident. My wife. Chris looked down at Anna, hanging off the right edge of her seat. Her door was crushed in from the impact, and her face filled with pieces of shattered glass from the door that had greeted her skull with a sensational force. Bits of plastic littered her hair like a debris field, and blood began to seep from her nostrils. Please hurry, her lids continued to flutter. Anna, stay with me. Help is coming. Anna felt her mind slowly drifting off. The sound faded, the screaming no longer penetrating her mind, and the smell of his cologne was depleted. She was alone in the dark.
Wow, that is a powerful opener. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really, really good. That's really good. Well, folks, we are coming down to the end of this conversation. But of course, the question that we always end with is, CB, what is next for you?
Well, hopefully I can finish writing this book. It's tough to write in the summer when you've got kids at home, but they're going back to school next week. So hopefully I'll be back to writing my new book, The Eve of Everything.
Ooh.
And that's going to be a book that is set in Interlaken, Switzerland.
Excellent. All right. And of course, where do folks go to learn more about you and check out the works?
You can find me at Facebook, www.cbgeisinger.org. You can also go to www.cbgread.org on Instagram. And hopefully I'll also be at the Hobbit Festival, which is going to be in November. We don't have a date yet, but very, very fun. Everybody dresses
Hobbit
up in
Festival?
Hobbit costumes.
Oh my God. I did not
we're
know
going to be
about
selling
this.
ears and floral garlands. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds like an absolute blast. I love it. I love it. Well, as always, CB, great talking to you. I love this book and certainly looking forward to our next conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. And to the folks at home, thank you as always for checking the show out. This is Citywide Bytes. I'm your host, Max Bowen, and we'll see you all next time.